Hello, everybody. We are just opening the gates here for people to log on. Hi, Anastasia. Okay. You've reached the Ukraine-Britain business call on investment in Ukraine. And we'll just wait 1 minute and a couple more people coming in. Okay, I think we may as well start. I'm Ashley Goodall from the Ukraine-Britain Business Council. I'd like to thank you for logging in today, everybody. And I'd particularly like to thank our speakers for attending today from different parts of the world. We have our Deputy Minister for the Economy, Andrii Teliupa, who's going to start in a minute. We have Elena Voloshina, Head of the IFC Operations in Ukraine. We have Ihor Olekhov, Partner at CMS Global Legal Advice, and Simon Cassey from Chesterfield Insurance Brokers. We're going to have each speaker speak for about 5 minutes or so, and hopefully hear what they have to say. Really, the overarching topic here is about what we can do to encourage the private sector into Ukraine, to invest in Ukraine. And Andrii is going to begin. He's going to talk about what the government is doing, what measures he has, and the sectors and the opportunities we have for investment into Ukraine. Elena then will be following up and looking at what they're doing, the IFC as a commercial bank, and how they can de-risk things. And overall, we'll be looking at how we can de-risk investments, what the opportunities are, what are the sectors that could be looking at, and whether or not there's a war, there are still investment opportunities. So I think it'd be very good to explore those. So without more ado, I'd like to hand over to Andrii Teliupa, who's in Ukraine, Deputy Minister for the Economy. Welcome, Andrii. If you could unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi to everybody.
Thank you, Andrii. I think it'd be great to hear from you what Ukraine's ambition is to attract private capital, what you're doing, and what your kind of initiatives are, and what people can look forward to.
Okay, so I will try to describe it in 5 minutes, and we can also maybe to elaborate it with some questions. Okay, first of all, I want to start that I really see, and we in the government of Ukraine do believe that Ukraine is the biggest investment opportunity of this decade, because we have to rebuild almost half of the country. And by our estimation, we need more than $5 billion investment, both in the public and private sectors. And so our goal is we want to create the whole ecosystem, how we can support the business and public and private investments on all levels, starting from some micro projects to big projects with large amount. Ukraine is nevertheless the war conditions. We are growing. Sure, first year of the war we lost a big part of GDP, but right now we are growing about 4-5% per year. So we are growing opportunity, and we really open and transparent about attracting investments. Because we are open to talk about future. We are dealing with different investors, with different governments. And for us, it's very important to build this transparent system of investment attraction and support. Because, right now, almost all projects have in transparent electronic resources where you can see all possibilities. We are dealing with engagement of different IFIs and DFIs representatives, so we want to be clear and transparent as possible. Also, we are proposing and we are preparing ongoing privatization of Ukrainian assets. So, if we are talking about this year, we have almost 70%, almost 300 objects on our electronic auction for the sale. And for example, like the nearest one auction will be on December 19th for a concrete blocks manufacturer, AROC. So like we are privatizing, like in privatization, we have like some special plans. And also we have a big part of nationalized banking system, which is under right now state control, but we want to decrease the state part in our economy as it is as possible. So like we really want to privatize some biggest banks and some biggest enterprises. So like we have from small companies to big companies, and so like it's a great investment opportunity for all foreign investors. Also about some actual instruments we have right now. First of all, we have like some special investment attraction strategy. Under this strategy, we have like a single window for investment promotion framework. And we had initiated Ukraine facility with up to 40 billion euros in public and private investments for next 3 years. And we have here a special tool, Ukraine investment framework, about 9 billion euros. And here almost 8 billion will be provided by special mechanisms, the Ukrainian guarantee, that will provide risk coverage. And also the remaining 1.5 billion will be used for mixed business financing and technical assistance, including grants. So also we are now developing private project preparation facility coordinated by McKinsey, just to like help how to prepare these public, private, and also private projects, how they should be prepared and ready for investments. And also European Commission launched a call for expression of interests right now. And the first transfer of 1.5 billion euros from mobilized Russian assets were made available. And so like we here were moving, and about like just to show you the main priority areas for us, I want. Sure, first for us, it's like defense industry and dual use goods. But also it's for us, it's energy, agri-food, transport, processing industries, IT sector, and also very big topic for us, it's about critical raw materials. Because like we have 22 of 34 critical materials needed for Europe. And also we are very strong in positions with titanium, lithium, graphite, and uranium. So like we are really now to open this market, and from next year we will be dealing with different investors about how this should be processed. And also some separate topic important for us about green economy transition. We are dealing with our national plan on climate and energy here, and we are coordinating it. And there we have many big propositions from and support from our international partners. And also maybe just to tell what exact tools and instruments we have for de-risking, because we understood that like if we are talking about FDIs, all investors wanted to like minimize risks, so to have some insurance. So what is we have right now? In Ukraine, we have like our export credit agency, which is now working both to reinsure investments for international and Ukrainian companies. Also, we have Unity facility, which is working for Black Sea transport. You know, like it's providing 50 million per vessel. It's working good. Also, we have like special products from local insurers, like companies like IRIX, Ingo, Unica, Universalna, and also DFC and reinsurance facility with $50 million distributed by IRX. And also the DFC will provide insurance for investors to attract investments to Ukraine. Also, we have EBRD Recovery and Reconstruction Guarantee Facility, Here we have 110 million euros. And we expected to have, we want to have here $1 billion to cover war-related risks. And also we have like a war risk insurance program by ECA, also to deal with risk, especially for power generation. So like we want just this list to show you, we can also share some special guides to investors with all this information. So just we want to show you that we want to have different tools, different support for investors, and like to provide here in Ukraine transparent system. So we're really open, and so it's just to be short about it. So like we can just share more information just for all interesting counterparties.
Andrii, thank you very much. That's very comprehensive. And maybe perhaps Anastasia could put some links in the chat to show where the portal is for people to look at the investments. The other
Sure,
thing,
we're gonna.
yeah, I think you have a investment destination document, which also outlines support and for companies who are relocating, for example. So there's a of different measures for people coming into the country and for people investing. So I think that's very comprehensive. Just to say that at the moment, the sense for me is things are still uncertain, but there might become a ceasefire in, say, 3 months or something. And presumably, you will be aware that there are a lot of people interested in Ukraine as an investment destination. Do you foresee a bit of a rush coming if things do become much safer?
Sure, because like we have many investors that are really interested and ready to move when we will have some ceasefire. And we sure like we are, preparing for worst, but hope for better. And so the basic scenario right now by all analytical centers is that next year we will have some ceasefire. And so we want to be ready about this boom, because, we will have to rebuild our infrastructure. We will have like a big push in the rebuilding energy sector, also our housing sector. So everything under this will be very prioritized with real funds, and especially everything talking about building materials, etc. Because even now, many investors are already going to Ukraine, and we are dealing. I'm responsible for the real sector of economy for all industrial policies, and right now we have almost each working day we have one new plant already opening in Ukraine. Many were relocated from east and also to Western Ukraine, and it's important to highlight that maybe because maybe foreign friends all do not understand, but right now 70% of our Ukrainian territory is safe. You can build plants, you can make all business you want, because the main territory is safe. So we have new plants, we have many big active investors, and as the government, we also provide new tools like industrial parks. So this year, 20 new parks are under construction. And also we provide some new tools for big investment projects. So if you have investment project from 12 million euros, we will give you 30% of capex back. Also, we have simplified procedures about all opening, about infrastructure, and also we have compensation for investors' costs for connection, engineering, and transport infrastructure. So and under these our projects, we have a very boom of plants construction, and we see it under this ceasefire, it will be much bigger, much large scale. So I think my idea is that who will be the first on this market, who is ready to go right now, it will receive like the big chunk, the big price. So like we encourage not to wait until the final stage of the war, but to start right now. For example, we are talking critical raw materials. We have DFIs and IFIs already confirmed they like financing feasibility studies. So like these projects will be ready next year. So for us, it's very important to start right now. So
I think
come to Ukraine.
Yes, thank you, Andrei. And just to finish that, I think you're looking at integrating into supply chains, aren't you, with raw materials in particular now,
Yeah.
in fact, rare minerals, for example. So I think there's some very live, immediate opportunities. And as you say, a lot of privatization, consolidation in the market that are available for investors. So thank you very much indeed. Hopefully there'll be links to the opportunities in the feed, or we'll share it later so people can be in touch with you or to look and see what the opportunities are for investment. So thank you so much, Andrei. It's a pretty comprehensive offer you've got there for everybody. I'd very much like now to go Elena, who is on the other side of the Atlantic at the moment, but is very much operational in Ukraine and really works from the commercial position banks. So Elena, over to you. Very much look forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Good morning. I think it's morning for you guys. It's already afternoon for me. I'm in Canada currently talking to some Canadian investors, but I wouldn't miss that opportunity to join the event today. I represent what Andrei was referring to, one of those IFIs that are quite active in Ukraine. The mandate of International Finance Corporation within the World Bank Group is to develop the private sector and to promote and bring in the much needed foreign direct investment. So this is our bread and butter. This is what we do. And we never stopped operating in Ukraine, even since the massive invasion. We were here. We were operational. We reopened the office. I'm based in Ukraine. I'm spending a lot of time in Ukraine, and we have done some pretty good things. In December of 2022, the board of directors of the World Bank approved economic resilience program for Ukraine, which allowed IFC, even though a AAA rated institution, to still operate in Ukraine and to still continue investing in Ukraine. We were given a target amount of $2 billion that we were supposed to invest in Ukraine within 2 or 2.5 years. Today, I'm very glad to report that 1.8 out of those earmarked has already been deployed. The way this money is being deployed is very much by using de-risking instrument. And one way of de-risking is we are using donor funds to minimize our own risks, including the facility that Andrii mentioned. We are one of those IFIs that is a channel for distribution of the European Union money. We've managed to mobilize about 700 million of donor funding from different countries, and I'm pleased to say that UK was one of the first countries to sign up to IFC's facility, and we have already deployed some of the UK funding that was received. Where did the money go? Well, about $500 million went to support export and import operations by working with several Ukrainian banks. This money was used by Ukrainian companies to export, because Ukraine is an export-dependent country, and we need those exports, we need those hard currency revenues. But it also went to support imports of critical materials like gasoline and other things like distributed energy generation equipment, etc. About $500 million went to support Ukrainian agriculture and agribusiness. This is one of the most important sectors for Ukraine. Ukraine, in spite of the war, continues to be a big player in the global food security agenda. So we supported several large agricultural producers, processors, traders, and handlers of agricultural commodities with that $500 million. The other sector that we're very active in is IT and tech. These are usually smaller companies. So in order to reach out to them, we partnered with a private equity fund, Horizon Capital. We are the largest investor in Fund 4 for Horizon Capital with $60 million. And we are now also co-financing with Horizon Capital in smaller ventures. We've already invested in 2 smaller IT companies together with Horizon. We're mindful of the needs of the SMEs. And the way IFC reaches out to SMEs is by partnering with local financial institutions. Local financial institutions are actually pretty liquid these days. They have a lot of liquidity, including dollar liquidity and euro liquidity. So the instrument we apply is not so much the money that we give to the bank to then on lend to smaller businesses, but rather we use what is called risk-sharing facility, whereby IFC guarantees half of the portfolio of these banks. And that allows the banks to free up their own capital that they can then use to reach out to more smaller farmers, women-owned businesses, etc. And we've signed such agreements with 3 banks in Ukraine and 1 leasing company. 2 weeks ago, we signed a similar instrument with Raiffeisen Bank Aval, one of the largest private international banks in Ukraine. We're now using the same approach with mid-caps because we're seeing the gap there. With smaller and tiny businesses, there's a very good government program, so-called 579, where the government subsidizes interest rate, and that program allows the small businesses to survive and continue operating. But it's the mid-caps that need funding. They need funding, especially to cover for their energy needs. So we're very much focused on these distributed energy generation equipment and having banks being able to lend for mid-caps in order to do that. Our landmark investment was signed recently, again, several weeks ago, and that's a clear demonstration that there is still support and interest from large strategic investors in Ukraine. We've supported a transaction in the telecom sector with a French company, NJJ, which acquired several assets in Ukraine with a view to grow the business further. It's a $1 billion transaction, of which IFC, together with EBRD, financed about 270 million of the financing. So that with this money and with our assistance, NJJ is going to become a significant player on the Ukrainian market. But most importantly, that just shows you that some people, even despite of the war, are investing in infrastructure. So people see the opportunity, and we're very happy to support such projects. And just a final remark from my side, there are several ways private sector companies can cooperate with IFC. The most obvious one is if you are an international strategic investor that is interested in financing or putting together a facility in Ukraine, we'd be happy to sit down and talk to you about how we can support you financially. There is also an opportunity to start early on, even if you're not yet ready to sign the check, at least to start preparing for the investment. And we're happy, again, to engage very early on. We are now doing a lot of what is called project development. For instance, there were a number of our existing clients that were looking at waste to energy projects. And so we jointly developed the project and then we financed the facility. This was the case in point with our existing client company called MHP, one of the largest poultry producers in Europe. And we're doing similar things with other companies. Another way to engage with IFC is to become a provider of services. If you're a consulting firm, an engineering firm, IFC is seeking for a lot of this kind of support. We implement a very large advisory program for the government of Ukraine and also for the private sector. So there are multiple ways where we are seeking consulting expertise. We're working with the Big Four on a number of activities. We're working with management consultants, but we're also very keen to work with specialized engineering firms. We're very active in structuring public-private partnerships. And in these public-private partnerships, there's room for everyone, for engineers, for lawyers, for auditors, for consultants. So just go to our website, look at what's going on there. I'm sure you may find plenty of opportunities. And last but not least, do reach out to me. My email is available with the organizers. If you have just a question, just shoot me an email. I usually try to be quite diligent in responding, and we could take it from there. Thank you.
Elena, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. So just to summarize, you're active there, you're doing commercial deals, you're supporting intermediaries, say banks or other mechanisms that deliver the money out to the end users. You're working in private equity with them, in partnership with. You're looking for other partners to invest with. You're open for business. Is that the basic tenet?
Exactly. Very much so.
Thank you very much. And you feel optimistic to me. I mean, is that are you feeling optimistic? You don't look fearful, or how is it feeling as a market?
All it takes for me to get the optimism is a trip to Kiev. 1 week in Kiev, a couple of meetings with my existing partners, with my existing clients, potential clients. You talk to these guys, you see they've got lots of problems, but they're so resilient, so agile, so eager to continue, so eager to invest, that I get a lot of energy from them, and that helps me going.
Excellent. And let's say there is a ceasefire at some stage this year. What does it have implications for you? What are you game on? Will you have more funds to match? What do you think might happen on that scenario?
I think there's going to be a lot more interest once the ceasefire takes place, because some people are, again, as I was saying, they're getting ready. We're seeing this especially in construction materials production. There are a lot of international interest. People are preparing. People are even trying to identify land plots where they will put their facilities. There are a lot of things happening in that space. And once the ceasefire takes place, I think we're going to see a lot more investment actually coming into the country.
Okay, so everyone's planning, etc. The Brits, for example, are good on certain sectors like defense, perhaps tech, education. We're quite an intangible, service-driven economy. You suggested that perhaps you're looking for consultants to come in and to work with you. Any other thoughts for what the Brits in particular might offer that others don't?
I would rely a lot on the expertise and knowledge in the energy space. And that there's, I think, a lot of expertise that Ukraine could benefit from.
Mm-hmm.
Construction materials, I already mentioned. We are in discussions with some players from the UK as well. Services, definitely. Financial services, UK is very good at. And we do have a large advisory program in the fintech space. So I'm sure we have a lot of opportunities of working together.
Thank you very much. I think you might have to dash off to come back this way. But Elena, thank you so much indeed. And on that, we're now going to move to Ihor Olekhov, who is at the granular edge of doing business. Ihor, over to you. Look forward to hearing what you've been doing and some of the practicalities and sectors you're working in, etc.
Thank you, Ashley. It's a pleasure for me to report because first of all, as you know, CMS Cameron Macaire Nabarov Olswang has been in Ukraine for already 15 years, over 15 years, and since actually the start of the invasion by Russia of Ukraine, we never actually ceased to operate in Ukraine and operated every single day since the invasion. And even today, more than 85% of our people in Kiev are still working, and in fact, I'm actually surprised that we have many projects, and actually we lack people to do all the work which we have in the market, which is probably a good sign for international law firm, which basically can, even during the martial law and during wartime, can still find projects and can still do a lot of things in this market. Obviously, I have a more realistic view what is going on in the country and what basically to expect, because we on a daily basis we are facing the problems which our clients are basically have to resolve and with which to deal. And I must say that compared to other Eastern European jurisdictions, Ukraine is probably, in my opinion, personal, is much easier to deal with, and business is actually happening much faster and much more efficiently than in many other European countries. This is again to the surprise of of many foreign investors. And the reason for this is very simple, because you know, Ukraine has to survive the war, and to survive the war, we need to implement many solutions, like digital solutions, like many fast opportunities, and to capitalize on this. And this is the principal reason why the business environment in Ukraine is very dynamic. It is very open to new ideas. You have a lot of ideas which are basically flying only in Ukraine, and in other countries they probably would not work. It not only concerns tech sphere and not only concerns basically new economy, but also many older many branches of the older economy. And in this respect, I'm quite positive that actually Ukraine is going to be not only catching up quickly with its peers, but will be developing even better. In terms of specific opportunities, probably I'm going to share a few slides to run them basically quickly with everyone. And Elena already mentioned this is the largest transaction which basically N&J investment into telecom sector, which happened actually this autumn, a few months ago. And this is effectively confirms basically the view that irrespective of the fact that Ukraine is at war with Russia, and there are many issues which might arise in connection with the missile attacks, on daily attacks of the drones, and problems with the electricity sector. You know, such investments basically demonstrate that even in these conditions, the business continues to function. The country still has nearly 30 million people living in the country. And these consumer businesses, they basically provide an opportunity to develop even in these circumstances. And obviously, for new investors, this is a country of opportunities, because I'm not sure that this deal would have happened so quickly if it was not for the war. Although I must admit that because we acted in this transaction, we started it before the war. We on many occasions we were also skeptical that the deal would go through, but nevertheless, the deal has gone through and was successfully implemented. And we expect that many other similar deals will be coming. Of course, for many investors, this requires a lot of bravery to take such decisions in such times. But again, as Elena already mentioned, there are IFIs like IFC and EBRD, which are ready to support good ideas and ready to support clients who are willing to take the risk and basically save the country in such a time. And once the war is over, these businesses obviously will grow very quickly. So other sectors which we already anticipate that will be bonanza basically for investments is obviously energy sector of Ukraine. And first of all, because this sector is very large in Ukraine. Ukraine traditionally was very big energy consumer in terms of how much energy is basically consumed by the industry in Ukraine. And obviously, because of the war, the available generation capacity was significantly reduced. It was reduced, especially more than 2 times. So there is a lack of capacity to generate electricity. And as you see on these graphs, which I'm going to share with anyone who is interested, Ukraine started to import a large portion of its energy. And this obviously means that the pricing for energy has increased substantially. And this provides a lot of opportunities for new investors to enter this market within the next year or two. I think the generating capacity will be reconstructed with based on the primarily renewable energy sources, and based on the new ideas which exist in this market. Ukraine facility was already mentioned. I wouldn't stop on this. It's probably quite a lot to speak about, but in terms of opportunities in this energy market, because Ukraine is effectively forced to adopt this distributed power generation model, there will be opportunities at each level, basically, not only production of electricity, but also transmission, smart grids, all types of basically energy efficiency measures. This is huge markets which basically can be utilized by UK and other businesses to their advantage. And in Ukraine, these markets have traditionally been not developed very much. So in this respect, this is a high time basically to study these opportunities and to enter into Ukraine. Again, storage, energy storage, gas storage opportunities. Again, Ukraine is very rich in those opportunities, which basically need to be explored and invested. And again, this is the official information which I'm going to share, and you can see that in terms of the amount of opportunities which you have here is huge. Insured projects, of course, this is important, but one slide on which I want to stop is this one, that in energy generation, basically the average payback period is 3 years for most of the projects which are implemented now, even during the wartime. And this is with the cost of funding which we have in Ukraine, with all the risks, and with the risk reduction basically instruments which are implemented, still this very I would say competitive payback periods which you can achieve here in the country. And I don't think you can achieve it in other European countries of the same level.
Igor,
yes.
can I just clarify, is that based on what has been happening? Are there examples of that has been happening in the last 3 years, for example?
Yes, these examples which were happening during the last year, basically,
Okay.
because these are actually post-war example. So
Okay.
before the war, it was a different environment. Again, already my colleagues mentioned that there are opportunities to reduce the risks, and many international agencies are offering insurance. Obviously, this is the start of the project for this insurance industry and for these insurance products, and it takes some time to get these instruments, and obviously the practice is not huge. However, 80% of the country is still not attacked, and it is more or less safe. And this gives, you know, an opportunity even for this insurance market to develop and for the new products to appear. It took local insurance companies probably less than a year to develop specific products for protection of businesses from war risks, from political risk and political violence risks. And these products are now available. Of course, they are subject to limits. They are probably quite expensive, but the price of premium is falling every day. So I'm sure that next year these products will be very competitive. Similarly, international agencies, they are offering a lot of products, which again take some time to get, but every day we are hearing about new ideas how this risk can be managed, and new ideas how basically foreign investors can benefit from these instruments. Here is a summary of some of the projects which were basically undertaken, insured projects in 2004. Again, I'm going to distribute this presentation if you want to learn.
Thank you.
About this, it's very open.
Okay.
So another opportunity, apart from the energy sector, is already mentioned by Andrii, the privatization of state-owned banks. You know, at the moment, because of this war and because of the prior crisis which happened in Ukraine, effectively, Ukraine as a state took over nearly 70% of the banking system. And obviously, this is not a very good situation because this banking system has to be private. It would be much more efficient and in better hands in private ownership. The whole banking system in Ukraine is worth basically less than twice as, I mean it's twice smaller than the largest bank in Poland. So this is, although in terms of Ukraine, it's a large banking system, but in terms of how, if you look at it from the standpoint of big numbers, from even in Eastern European terms, it's not very big banking system. In October, we at last had a new law on privatization of state-owned banks, which introduced several important rules, including the possibility for the state of Ukraine to sell banks at a discount. Before this law, we actually never had successful privatization of state-owned banks just because there was prohibition basically to sell the bank below the equity value which was invested into this. Now, under this new law, this rule disappeared. And now the principles for the sale of state-owned banks were set out in this law, and I'm sure that next year will be the process for the sale of the banks will begin. Obviously, maybe it's not a good thing to say, but Ukraine, because of the war, introduced 50% increase of taxation of the banks, which will basically mean that the price for these banks will be even lower for the investors. So I'm not sure who thought about actually this new tax in Ukraine, but this will result in the probably an excellent opportunity for new entrants into the market to buy banks, to buy a state-owned bank at a very good price once it is for sale. Again, already mentioned, defense tech ecosystem has surprised many people, and there are many opportunities here. This is a bit of a subject which would require a lot of, a lot of investigation, a lot of research. But obviously, Ukraine now is at the forefront of these new drone technologies, surveillance technologies, cyber protection technologies. And there are huge opportunities here which can be explored by UK and other businesses. This is, again, once in a lifetime opportunity to find businesses in the defense sector which can be tested in Ukraine until the war ends, and which can become global businesses once the war is over. This is very briefly what I wanted to say, but I'm ready to respond to any questions.
Ihor, thank you so much. That's extremely interesting and very granular and very positive as well. I can't imagine there'll be a better time to invest than now in terms of value.
Yes, indeed. It's probably an opportunity for brave investors to take and to invest now. Obviously, the prices are not for the assets in Ukraine. They are not, especially Western Ukraine, they are not so low, because if you compare them to the prices before the war, they, for the most part, have not decreased substantially. But here you have to also assess the prospects of the country once the war is over, because before the war, not many people worldwide knew about Ukraine. After the war, this will be a totally different situation, because Ukraine has been, everywhere in everyone's mind globally for 3 years, and now after such a war, this will be a huge boost to the image of the country and to the brand of any business which is done here.
There's just one other thing that hasn't been mentioned yet, is the EU accession. The idea that Ukraine is moving towards the EU, given that they're able to. There may be a lot of opportunities for companies to consolidate, to integrate with Europe. Are there particular sectors where that might be particularly attractive?
Well, in my opinion, this Ukraine already is benefiting a lot, although it is not a member, but EU unilaterally decided to open its borders for trade with Ukraine once the war started, to support basically the Ukrainian economy. Obviously, because of the risks of war, probably not many opportunities are rightly exploited in Ukraine, but in many sectors of agriculture, many food processing sectors, and generally every production facility which can be placed these days in Ukraine, it will benefit from effectively free trade with EU. So in this respect, once the war is over, I'm sure that this regime, to a large extent, will remain the same. Even before Ukraine joins EU, Ukraine will already benefit from this free trade with European Union. Of course, some products like commodities, which are important for the Eastern European countries, this would need to be negotiated with Poland and other neighboring countries, because their markets are affected in some of these products. But if you look at the overall trade, the amount of these products about which there are disputes, it's really not that substantial. And the rest of trade in manufactured goods, in basically all supply chain, it will benefit hugely from this EU accession. It would be probably like situation in Poland once it joined EU in 2004. A bit similar, that many production assets from all over Europe will be moving gradually to Ukraine because of the benefits of having lower cost of production and swifter actually implementation than in other parts of Europe.
Ihor, thank you very much. And I just finally like to come to Simon Cassey. Simon, thank you, Ihor. Simon, we've heard a lot about a bit about insurance, etc. From a commercial point of view, maybe you'd like to comment on this and generally comment on insurance in general.
Yeah.
Investments,
Hello, everybody. Perhaps just very briefly, I'll tell you what qualification I have to be sitting here, and that we at Chesterfield do a lot of insurance in Ukraine. We're insuring vessels against war. We are insuring a lot of people. We are insuring, oddly enough, quite a lot of Americans coming in and out of Ukraine. We insure cargoes coming in from Western Europe, and we are providing security and intelligence services to those clients. We are also developing capability in providing reinsurance to investors in Ukraine. I'm actually very interested in the claims of previous speakers and others that I've met in Ukraine and in conferences in Warsaw about their optimism about we have insurance. And I'm not absolutely convinced that when they say we have insurance, that they have insurance in the sense that it is what we call risk transfer. I'm pretty aware of what the appetite is in the reinsurance and insurance market for ensuring the de-risking risks of investing in Ukraine. And I'm not absolutely sure that this claim about having lots of insurance is actually accurate. You could well have insurance from a fund that will guarantee war, or they will guarantee those elements of de-risk. But I am not absolutely convinced that these claims are legitimate in terms of what in the insurance world we call risk transfer. I'm not going to prattle on about too much about the details of insurance, because it may not necessarily be of particular interest to everybody. But to say you have insurance could mean that you have insurance for war. That would be war on property. It might mean that you have war insurance for political violence, or you might have insurance for terrorism or sabotage. You might have insurance for business interruption following a war attack. You might have business interruption for. You might have insurance for political risk, i.e., the sequestration of your assets, or the attempt to obfuscate a contract. Or you might have insurance for credit risk. And interestingly enough, very few of us here seem to be talking much about credit risk. Let's face it, there are actually one or two not absolutely honest types all around the world, and there are quite a few in Ukraine, and you have to be very careful about where you're putting your money. So this thing, we have insurance, is really needs qualification, because it is not clear that the insurance market is as enthusiastic about investing in a war zone as perhaps some of those involved are giving the impression. My own view is that the reinsurance market is being slow in looking at those opportunities. There is a moratorium, for what it's worth, in general in the reinsurance market to ensure for those risks that I was briefly describing. And the way to deal with a new concept, a particularly uninsurable new concept, is essentially to push at the door of resistance, in which we have these very, very large capital sources who are not prepared to commit themselves yet. And we are talking about a lot of money here. I mean, I hear estimates of over $500 billion. As a matter of fact, I think probably the more accurate figure would be twice that to rebuild Ukraine. And none of that investment is going to take place without insurance enabling that investment. But going back to the idea of an uninsurable risk, just very briefly, after 9/11, a lot of buildings around the world were, prior to 9/11, the buildings were insured for terrorism, quite a normal peril in a property insurance contract. And the day after, everybody pulled their cover for terrorism. In that same year, 20 countries indemnified the property owners for terrorism, and they then established a reinsurance pool, a pool re. As I said, there's 20 countries, each have their own pools, and those pools were then reinsured in various degrees, various reinsurance contracts around the world. This will be how, in practical terms, the insuring of uninsurable risks and war risks in general in Ukraine will take place. So going back to what we have to do here, we have to have live cases. We have to push the insurance and reinsurance market internationally to essentially, on a live case, to reveal what it is they will do. Will they write 50% of the risk? Will they write in excess of 50% of the damage? There will be will they write for political risk? No. Will they write war risk? Yes. They won't write political violence, and they may not write terrorism. So every single section of this insurance world has a different perspective. And as a matter of fact, on the subject of terrorism and sabotage, I suspect that if there is ever a peace agreement, which I have to say I don't believe will be in the next 3 months, but that's my own view, there will be a much greater need for terrorism and sabotage. We know full well that the Russians will not stop at any kind of peace agreement, and they will attempt to sabotage any attempt to rebuild Ukraine. My proposal will be that we will be needing to get the very capable and creative insurance underwriters in Ukraine. We will have to bring them to London to explain a lot more about what they believe to be the risks. And furthermore, it is, in my view, very important to get the world's war risk insurers, political risk insurers, terrorism and sabotage insurers, and they're all different, by the way, and get them to come to Ukraine and see what the risk is themselves, because they have no real idea. There's maybe a few thoughts for you. I'd be quite happy to take some questions if you've got any. Other than that, that is how I perceive that we will be able to get the investment into Ukraine using insurance to take the risk out of that investment.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. I think I understood most of that. But it sounds like there's work to do, but it's not impossible. You need to aggregate people, you need to educate them, take them to Ukraine, bring them to London, show how the market works, and then you'll have a more functional system. Is that in? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the insurers don't know in first-hand knowledge what the risks are. And that is, it's very important that they do understand. There's no.
You can perhaps lead a trade delegation of insurers to Kyiv.
Absolutely right. Why not?
Okay, great. Thank you very much indeed. I think probably as we're hit the hour, I'm going to call an end to that. I'd really like to thank everybody for participating, sharing a lot of wisdom, a lot of positivity, I think. Elena, Voloshina, thank you so much for calling in from Canada, from the IFC. Andrii Teliupa, thank you so much for being patient with us there and outlining what the government is doing, the priorities and the opportunities. And also, Ihor, thank you so much for the practicalities of what's actually available from a legal point of view and from a deal-making point of view. And Simon, your kind of insight on how to evolve the market effectively. Just to thank Anastasia, who has posted up a lot of the portals and the links in the chat here. And also for Ihor, you can get CMS investment. I will also be sharing these with anyone who's signed up and also who hasn't signed up. So hopefully we'll share this, we'll share the video, and we can take this further. And there's a little note here, Mr. Kuzmin says, really appreciate your honest review, Simon, it says here. So it's not impossible. We'll come down to insurance and legal systems as well as peace. Thank you. Yes, well, thank you all very much indeed. We've got one tomorrow on military insights and scenarios. Might be possible. A lot more conjecture there. Look at the different scenarios with Bath University. So that's 2:30 tomorrow if you'd like to log on. In the meantime, thank you all very much. Slava Ukraine, and have a good evening wherever you are.
Героям слава, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.